Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you are watching second and final part of What If Naruto Was Neglected by Jiraiya during 3 years training trip. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
It was true, Jiraiya. It hurt to fight. Before this bad fight, Tsunade caught him peeping on her in the hot springs, which is why he was so badly beaten. It was certain that Jiraiya would die if he didn't get medical help right away. Pa and Ma were beaten and sent back to the mountain, where they would probably tell Naruto or Tsunade what happened. She was going to be so mad at him. Damn. I wanted to fix things and get Naruto on the path I wanted him to take by showing how strong I was. Jiraiya thought to himself, oh well, maybe my death will be just as effective since the brat does respect people who die for a cause. He let out a small laugh. Pain held out a chakra rod and said, you shouldn't laugh, Jiraiya. I have won, and you have lost. It is time for you to die. Only for an orange flash to appear out of nowhere, and Naruto was staring down at the toad Sannin. I figured as much. Look at what he did to you. It's bad enough you fled when those two kunoichi from that kunoichi-only village came regarding your promise, but you had the never to run after Tsunade tried to beat some sense into your perverted ass. She told you not to come here and do this. You practically committed treason for disobeying her. And for what? To make sure the prophecy stay focused on me and not on him. Naruto said angrily before he looked at Pain. Kyuubi Jinchuriki, you made a terrible mistake by coming here, and to save him. Pain yelled as Naruto growled. I didn't come here to save his dumb ass out of the goodness of my heart. I came to bring Arrow dumb shit back to Konoha so Tsunade could heal him up just so she can beat him bloody all over again. Pa and Ma only came here when summoned by the Baka so they could put a Hiraishin tag on him so I could interfere shortly after they got knocked off his dumbass. Good thing too since not even Tsunade can repair the loss of his arm if left off for too long. Still, with all the groping he did on women, whether consensual or not, it seems fitting he lose at least one of them, told Naruto before he kicked Jiraiya in his shattered ribs for good measure. No respect, Jiraiya said in a low voice as Naruto glared at him. You should have lost your raisin-sized balls years ago, since you tried to grope my mother while she was a little drunk one night and thought you could get away with it. Just another reason for me to fight and beat the living shit out of you. Naruto yelled as he grabbed the Sannin by the back of his coat. Pain told them, you will not be leaving here with him. He knows too much. So do you. That was one of his last 3-6 paths to Pain. And you think you do? Itachi was Jiraiya's spy. He told this idiot everything and passed it along to the Sandame. After the old shit monkey died, it went to the Gondame. Not only that, but I have it on good authority that you aren't the true leader of the Akatsuki. Just the puppet. Ironic considering you command quite a few of them around us, said Naruto, with Pain showing feelings on his paths each with a scowl. Pain said, I am a god. My eyes are those of one. You will fall to me, but Naruto just laughed. Like I haven't heard that one before today. Also, the masked idiot calling himself Uchiha Madara? He's not the real deal. Just a Uchiha for a student using his name. If he were the real Uchiha Madara, the fool would wear the armor of the man, and not act like a total idiot in front of others from the start, said Naruto while Pain widened his eyes at this as did Konan as well. Nerus shook his head and asked Pain, why do you tell me this? To split us up? Naruto asked, no. So you know he's lying. So you can be ready for when he betrays you for the real plan to have all the Biju. Or did you really think he would be honest with you about the purpose of the giant statue a few rooms away? The Toads had been to AIM earlier to scout ahead and had seen the statue before Jiraiya was even ready to come here. Are you saying it's not the most powerful weapon in the world? Konan asked. Naruto smiled because he had the Toads to do some serious research and was using shadow clones to spread out through the elemental countries and look through all the old libraries. Kurama also filled in some gaps. It took a lot of faith for the fox to tell everyone what was going on, but it was worth it. I didn't say that. It is a weapon of sorts. A living weapon. Dating back to when the sage was still alive. One that some people think they can control if they have a certain dojutsu in their possession. Ask your fake Madara about it. Ask about the story of Jubi and how it was defeated by the sage. See what his reaction to hearing it is and see for yourself if I was telling the truth. Hopefully, you too can put the pieces together in relation to that ugly-ass statue and the 9 biju being needed for it, Naruto said while Pain looked at Konan, who was scowling even more. And you want us to let you go with Jiraiya as payment for this information? Konan asked. Naruto shrugged, and the blonde picked up Jiraiya's broken arm following the fight. Perhaps. As I mentioned earlier, I have a personal score to settle with Jiraiya regarding his past slights against me.
You already got your 10 pounds of flesh off of his perverted ass.
Now it's my turn. Think about what I said. And don't worry about Kisame. I killed him 2 days ago before he even made it to Iwa and returned Samahata to Kiri in the new Mizukage, said Naruto, while Pain and Konan were both in at this. How? Pain asked, wanting to use a chakra rod to stab Naruto and make him give up. Simple. Take away his chakra-eating sword and the man runs out of chakra fast without gaining any back at a later time. That sword feeds him chakra because his own body can't sustain any reserves for long due to a genetic defect his body possesses. Naturally, the man did have chakra, but he can't increase his reserves through training, and what he uses does not come back. It was one of the main reasons he could use Samahata's ability to eat chakra in the first place and why he liked to fight. Absorbing all that chakra through the sword and no one realizing that the man was a walking chakra-eating factory like his sword. But, if you take away the ability to use it, and go on a full-out fight with someone like me? You lose in the long run, said Naruto, but Pain wasn't pleased. Information. Due to his huge chakra reserves, Kisame was thought to be a biju without a tail, but no one knew that he got those reserves from Samahata. Most people thought that the sword slowly fed him some of the chakra it had taken from people it had eaten. It wasn't thought that the man needed the sword as much as Kisame needed it. The Shark Man threw himself into fights because he knew that his opponents would give him chakra that his sword could use to recharge himself. Kisami's death was a surprise, but it wasn't a big deal for us either. When there is peace, like when I want to achieve it, people like him disappear or feel like their life has no point. Pain thought this as he watched Naruto put Jiraiya back on his back. Kisame probably liked the idea of going down fighting, and he did just that against the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I'll see you soon. Also, it wouldn't surprise me if the plant man with your fake Madara was part of the original plan they didn't tell you about. If you use your Uzumaki senses like I do, you'll know what I mean, cousin, Naruto said as Pain and Konan looked at him in shock. The young Uzumaki with blonde hair was gone in an instant. Konan asked Pain, do you think he was telling us the truth? Pain's eyes got even narrower as he thought. I don't know, but I know how to find out. First, I need to replace my lost paths. Once they are done, we will know, Pain said, wondering what the real plan was that the Madara was hiding from him. Sometime later at Konoha Hospital. You are a baka. Do you know that? Do you have any idea how stupid you are for going to aim without my permission? For defying me? Do you know how much I want to beat you within an inch of your life? Tsunade yelled angrily at the person in the hospital bed who had a full body cast and couldn't take their eyes off of Tsunade. Shizune said, Tsunade-sama, given his condition I don't think. But a glare cut him off. Do not pity him, Shizune. Jiraiya deserved his near-death experience. He's lucky I was even able to save and reattach his arm. With enough physical therapy, he just might get it to work properly. Though personally, I wish Naruto had just left it to rot so he would have one less hand to molest innocent women with, said Tsunade while she kept staring at Jiraiya in her fury. You should have let me die, Jiraiya said in a low voice as Tsunade's anger grew. I should have done many things in my life, Jiraiya. For example, I should have had you castrated for spying on me in the hot springs instead of beating you up so badly. I also should have gone back to Konoha sooner to help watch over my distant cousin from the Uzumaki clan, which was another mistake on my part. Hell, I should have had everyone our sensei let hurt Naruto put to death in public while making the offspring. The only reason she didn't do that was because Naruto didn't mind taking out his anger on people who had hurt him in the past. When the boy got back from his trip to train with Jiraiya, no one in Konoha thought he would fight back. A lot of people thought that the man would be able to turn Naruto into a subservient weapon that they could use and abuse whenever they wanted. Because of this, they could sleep well at night because they thought their actions would lead to some kind of punishment. It made them even more sure that any slight, harm, or abuse they did to Naruto was the right thing to do. If the governing body of the village thought it was even slightly wrong, wouldn't they have been punished in some way? Sensei taught you better than to give in to those kinds of thoughts and feelings, Jiraiya said as he winced in pain from moving to the right just a little. Sensei was a liar and a hypocrite. If he were here, I would have beat him within an inch of his life too. I don't care if he was stronger than either of us. The old man betrayed just about everything my grandfather believed in when founding Konoha. The fact you even support his decisions without hesitation on your part only infuriates me further. Tsunade added while she was so tempted to hit Jiraiya's face with her fist. Tsunade didn't do it because it would have killed him. Tsunade smiled and said, "What about Naruto? His coming to save me put the kid's life in danger. I doubt you would have approved that mission or given it to him. Actually, I did sanction it. And yes, I did assign it to him. Naruto figured your stunt to reverse summon yourself back to the Toad Clan's mountain to heal was a mere detour to get to AIM. He believed that when you made it to AIM to face the leader of the Akatsuki, you would fight the man one-on-one in some attempt to make yourself a martyr. To pass down your stupid beliefs using your own death, if necessary, to leave a lasting imprint on Naruto's mind. Naruto believed you would use Sage Mode and contacted the Toads to tell them that when you did, they were to plant a Hiraishin marker on your back so he could save your ass after being defeated, said Tsunade while Jiraiya sighed eluded him. It was for his own good, Tsunade. The prophecy had to come true. Naruto, not Nagato, must complete it. Only one student may do so, Jiraiya told Tsunade, giving him a look that showed he was obsessed with the damn prophecy. Say for the sake of argument Sake that Naruto is this child of prophecy the elder Toad spoke of years ago. What happens when Naruto does fulfill it? Will he get the praise and recognition with it? The love he rightfully deserves not only from within Konoha after so many years of being hated, but with the rest of the shinobi village? Or, perhaps a certain perverted idiot named Jiraiya Baka, and a poor excuse for Godfather goes on a loud and boastful propaganda campaign to claim it all for himself? To finally cast a large shadow over the world and all the other shinobi in it after being in the shadows of other great shinobi of the past? Inquired about Tsunade while Jiraiya refused to the gaze. I deserve the praise, Jiraiya said in a snarling voice as Tsunade frowned. So Naruto does all the hard work. Puts his life on the line. Nearly dies. And for what? Also you can eat it all up saying, I trained him ladies. Spread your legs for me. To every woman around you? He does everything while you mooch off his success and take the so-called fame and glory for yourself. Like a leech. Tsunade was accused while Jiraiya was now mask-covered face. It was Jiraiya who said, I am his sensei and his godfather. I can do whatever I want with him and his development. Tsunade looked even more angry. Not anymore. Naruto has disowned you from your so-called rights as godfather. He did it shortly after he returned to Konoha from training with the Toads while you were off peeping on women at the hot springs. I stamped the order myself. I also made it clear in the brat's records how you failed him as a sensei with your past actions so no one can argue in your defense, Tsunade said while Jiraiya looked angry. Jiraiya yelled, you had no right, Tsunade. While Tsunade glared even more. You forget Jiraiya, I am an Uzumaki by blood on my grandmother's side.
Not only that, but the Senju are cousins to the Uzumaki clan.
I can trump your claim of guardianship on that alone since we are related by blood, replied Tsunade with Jiraiya yelling. Said the woman of blood relation who wasn't there for him for over a decade. Jiraiya said back. Maybe it had something to do with both you and Sensei keeping things from me at the time. I asked Sensei about Kushina and the child after the Kyuubi attacked in a message. Do you know what he said in return? They are fine. Nothing to worry about. Keep on wandering and heal. It wasn't until I met Naruto that I thought Kushina had done a bad job of raising him, only to find that the boy wasn't raised by her at all. Because she was dead. Something Sensei decided not to tell me. Something you conveniently decided not to say or mention after finding me in the bar. You had plenty of time to tell me things in secret, but chose to keep your mouth shut. We both know you did it for selfish reasons. You knew I was close to Kushina and knew if I found out about Naruto, I would have come back and gotten close to him. You and Sensei wanted him isolated and dependent on your shared presence, said Tsunade as Jiraiya looked back. Jiraiya said, that's not true. But Tsunade didn't seem to believe him. It was almost like Tsunade was shouting, don't bother denying it, Jiraiya. I read Sensei's journals. Every page. Every verse. Every chapter. Every word written in his handwriting. Everything about Naruto and how you two tried to screw him over. Jiraiya quickly changed his tone from denial to admission. It had to be done. Don't you get it, Tsunade? Naruto has to be balanced. Not too weak so he crush Konoha's enemies, but not too strong the brat will be able to turn on us without fear of losing. It had to be done. Jiraiya said back. Bullshit. You didn't need to do what was done to him to make the boy loyal. Naruto's status as a Jinchuriki didn't have to be made known to the council by Sensei. He did that deliberately knowing it would set off the chain of events needed to make the village hate him. Also you could swoop in one way or another to provide him the only support you were willing to let Naruto have in life and force your beliefs down his throat. He has the right to choose Jiraiya. You had no right to force your beliefs on him. Tsunade said while Jiraiya yelled.
I have every right.
I don't care what you say, Tsunade. I am the boy's godfather and still his legal guardian. I can do what I like in terms of dictating the brat's future. Do you know why? Because the boy is mine. Mine to mold. Mine to control. Mine to make sure the prophecy is fulfilled the way it was meant to be fulfilled. And if the end result allows me to mooch off that disrespectful shit and live a life of happiness at his expense until the day I die, then so be it. Jiraiya exclaimed with a hint of madness in his tone and eyes. Everyone around Jiraiya had been looking over his shoulder for years. Hi, Sensei. Hello, Orochimaru. Hi, Tsunade. Hey, Minato. Thank you, Kushina. To name a few. Itachi was becoming well known for bad things too. The Uchiha prodigy would have been a great Hokage if Naruto hadn't beat him in the fight or if he hadn't been reported missing. In spite of this, Jiraiya was sick of hiding behind other people. His first book, Tales of the Gutsy Ninja, did not do it all well. People loved his sexy books, but some people, all the women, didn't like that he peeped on them to get ideas. He thought that it should be seen as an honor. Because Tsunade was so strong and good at medicine, no one paid attention to him, even though he had the transparency jutsu and a reliable spy network. Every day, Orochimaru showed off how smart he was before it got all sick and twisted. This made the snake Sannin feel better about himself and kept setting the bar higher than Jiraiya could reach. Most people still thought the Snake Man was smart, even after it got sick and twisted. They didn't think much of Jiraiya. No Fuinjutsu? Not only did Minato and Kushina understand it better than he did, they were even better than him at it. His jutsu for transparency? Plane of spying? His series of Icha Icha Paradise? Compared to some of the things other people in Konoha did, their actions were just footnotes in history. A lot of people respected even the brave Junin who died in the last Shinobi War more than they respected themselves. And all of this was because they weren't perverts or super perverts like him. He was sick of it. Where was the shadow of his fame and glory? Where were the people in his army who respected him? Where were the people who fear and respect him? When did the looks of envy go away? Of wanting by the women? What's the answer? Their attention was on someone else instead of him. Because of this, when the Toad Elder spoke his prophecy, Jiraiya chose to take advantage of a very rare and golden chance. Konoha was told to change his prophecy so that he could power it. Able to control. Could have made them the best village among the Big Five for decades, if not centuries. That's why he told his sensei. With just the right push, they could get things going and place pieces on the board that would move based on what they did and what other people did. Also, Jiraiya would be the one to get the glory when the prophecy came true and everyone spoke highly of his name. He could and would brag about how Naruto became so strong through his training. It wasn't really a lie, but that part didn't need to be told to anyone, and Jiraiya didn't think the brat would say anything different when the time came. That's especially true since the boy would have been nice after the Sannin taught him just enough to get him to see things his way. No longer would a Kunoichi look down on him for being gay or for spying on them to write his great books. They almost begged him to go into the women's section just so they could sit next to him and rub their bodies against his. Because he would have so many female tails around him, it would be very simple for Jiraiya to write 1,000 Icha love stories. While he basks in the glory of his greatness and is truly admired by all of his peers. But the brat had chosen not to listen to his way of teaching. In order to get the approval of people in Konoha, Jiraiya's sensei told him that the brat was hardwired to need to prove himself and get stronger. How all Jiraiya had to do was throw some jutsus at Naruto, put the gaki down with bad words, and make it look like nothing the boy did was good enough. They could use the boy's desire to get better to focus on getting stronger for Konoha this way. To defend Konoha when its enemies came calling. No questions asked. He only thought about what he was doing and nothing else, unless it was good for the village. Jiraiya and Hiruzen didn't do it to Kushina because Mito lived long enough to teach her the Uzumaki way. When you add in the fact that Minato was naturally nice and couldn't break her beliefs or way of thinking, it became very hard to control her. So that they could make their different dreams come true, Hiruzen and Jiraiya had to start over with a brand new baby, without any parents to guide the kid. The Kyuubi attack on the night Naruto was born was a big surprise, but the hidden chance was too good to miss. With no parents, friends, or family to influence him, the boy was like a blank slate that they could write their plans on. They didn't think Naruto would become as stubborn as the Uzumaki clan and Kushina, even though they tried many times to break him of it. Both in terms of body and mind. When Jiraiya was done with his little rant, all he could do was stare back at Tsunade, who was staring down at him with a look he didn't quite understand. Disgust, loathing, and anger, lots of it, were all present, but there was a plan to hurt him behind it all. When Tsunade said, "I see. Well, Jiraiya, I hope you feel your actions were worth it because now is the time to see what your actions have produced in the coming month," Jiraiya frowned at her words. Jiraiya asked with some worry, "What do you mean?" While Jiraiya and Shizune looked confused, Tsunade said, "Simple. I'm going to heal you. Every wound. Past and present. I'm going to use all my medical skills and knowledge to fix your broken perverted body. If I may be so rude, but..." "Why?" Jiraiya asked in a confused tone. "Because I don't want you having an excuse for when Naruto fights you. So you can't complain when Naruto shows you what your stupidity has done. So Naruto can enjoy taking your fully restored body and breaking it into pieces before leaving it to rot. So I suggest you enjoy the feeling of your body being back to its prime state, Jiraiya, because after Naruto destroys it, I'm not healing you. I'm not saving you. Nor will Shizune. If you want medical aid after Naruto destroys you, I suggest you go seek a back alley doctor," Tsunade said. Jiraiya was shocked by this. Are you really sure that the jerk can beat me when I'm at full strength? Jiraiya asked Tsunade with a mean grin. Of course I do. Have you seen the list of S-ranked nin he's killed recently? And in such a short time? When was the last time you took on so many S-ranked shinobi in such short amount of time and won? Not only that, but he saved your ungrateful ass from suddenly being killed by another tucked-away former student with a grudge, said Tsunade with Jiraiya gritting. Someone told me that he used the Hiraishin to help us get away from pain. How did he do that? Jiraiya asked, and Tsunade smiled at him. He has access to his parents' home, remember? Minato was a genius in Fuinjutsu and so was Kushina. If there is one thing Naruto excels at besides shadow clones, it is in using Fuinjutsu in a way that many would consider to be scary, Tsunade said while Jiraiya looked upset. What? No. He can't have it yet. The Sandaime said he couldn't until he was old enough or a Junin with a lot of experience. Jiraiya yelled, knowing that his old sensei had done this to make it very hard for Naruto to get to the huge amount of information he had left behind for him. He is mature enough. No thanks to you. As for his rank being a possible issue, I recently promoted him to Junin. The fact he killed quite a large number of notorious S-ranked nin tells me the brat has accomplished the requirement of getting experience. So you can take senseis and your stipulations regarding the boy and shove it. What's the matter, Baka? Are you now afraid the brat will actually fuck you up in your eventual fight? Tsunade responded with Jiraiya growling. He's still immature. Throwing a tantrum on how I train him. Bitching about the Biju's chakra hurting him. As for him kicking my ass? Ha. Never. Besides, you should be more worried about yourself. He might challenge you for the Hokage seat in a one-on-one fight. Do you really expect him to hold back if that happens? Asked Jiraiya while Tsunade just smiled. Fight him? Not at all. In 2 or 3 years, I'll hand over the hat and let him run Konoha however he wants, Tsunade said, making Jiraiya mad inside. Jiraiya told Tsunade with a frown, you can't. There is a law in place. One sensei has locked in so Naruto could never have his dream come true. Though Tsunade let out a small laugh, he replied, and what law is this? I know all the laws in Konoha. There is nothing in the books that says Naruto can't become Hokage. Oh really? Check along the lines of requirements. Sensei always had contingencies in place for almost anything. So in the chance Naruto did get nominated to be Hokage, a law was put in place to deny him due to his Jinchuriki status, Jiraiya said, while Tsunade was upset about. Tsunade asked, when did this happen? Because he knew that it could be undone if the daimyo agreed. Shortly after the Gondame Mizukage and Jinchuriki Yagura started his bloodline civil war within Kiri. Sensei used it as an excuse to create a law banning any Jinchuriki in the village from being Hokage. He said, we can't afford Konoha to have future Hokage who is like the Gondame Mizukage and one too strong to stop or rebel against, with the clan heads and elders supporting the decision. So you see now Tsunade? The dumb brat can't be Hokage. His dream was always meant to be just that. A dream. A hopeless dream he could never accomplish. An impossible task. Said Jiraiya as Tsunade paused. I can repeal the law, Jiraiya. The elders and Danzo are dead. Homura had his throat slit and Kaharu was found with the woman's body hanged using her own intestinal tract. All within their own home. The clan heads won't deny Naruto or his dream. He's more than earned it. Sensei played off their fears. I will change their minds through Naruto's deeds, Tsunade said as Jiraiya stared at her. You honestly think Sensei didn't think everything through? That there was a chance the next Hokage after him would take this to the daimyo? This action was supported by the Fire Daimyo himself. You want the law repealed? You have to go right through him and I doubt he will do it. Hiruzen has told him enough about Jinchuriki in general to make the man believe they are too dangerous to be put in a high position of power. The Gandame Mizukage only reinforced this, and despite Sabaku no Gara being Kazekage, we both know the Fire Daimyo thinks that the Wind Daimyo is an idiot. Naruto's dream of being Hokage is just that. A dream. Said Jiraiya, since he didn't trust the Fire Daimyo could be persuaded to help change that law. We'll see about that, Baka. I still have a trick or two up my sleeve when necessary to deal with daimyos. Plus, Naruto's shinobi record shows he is far from what the Gandame Mizukage ever was when ruling Kiri. All I have to do is show him how our sensei was pour lies into his ears, and the foolishness of supporting those lies will be for him in the future if Naruto is denied becoming Hokage, Tsunade said while Jiraiya was ye. Tsunade smiled and said, as if the Fire Daimyo will believe you. Sensei was a well-respected shinobi and Hokage in his time. And I have enough evidence and dirt to throw on said respected time to make the Fire Daimyo realize he was being played like a fool by said man, Tsunade replied. Jiraiya asked Tsunade with a scowl, you would do that to our sensei? Where is your loyalty? My loyalty is to my family. My cousin. Both of which you, Danzo, the elders, sensei, and the rest of the village have betrayed multiple times over. Do not speak to me about betrayal, Jiraiya. I am not going to just sit by and let people run my family's legacy into the ground. Nor will I allow those betrayals to stand and to set a cruel precedent letting people believe such things are allowed. Besides, why should I be loyal to Sensei after all of his betrayals to my family and Naruto? Would you? Tsunade shouted while she saw Jiraiya behind his group. He was our sensei, so we should have been loyal to him. But you and Orochimaru spit on that. I am the only one who really deserves to be called his student, Jiraiya spat, while Tsunade laughed. Oh yes. What an impressive title. And what has your loyalty to the man gotten you for supporting Sensei and his crazy plans? You're in a body cast and will be in another one soon after Naruto breaks it up into tiny, fragile pieces, Tsunade replied. Her reasons for betraying the Sandame were good, and she had good reason too, since the man had betrayed her first and everyone in the Senju clan. Orochimaru did it just because he didn't like how their sensei picked Minato to be the fourth Hokage instead of him. Not to mention all the illegal tests that were done, which led to the Sannin turning bad. Jiraiya said with a cocky tone, the brat can't and won't hurt me. He doesn't have the guts for it. I'll beat him like I did a year and a half ago. Given how many S-rank missing nin he's killed, I seriously doubt it, Tsunade said, since she knew the kid was dying to fight Jiraiya and trained almost every day. The boy turned into a regular juggernaut who was ready to run over anyone he saw as an enemy and wasn't stopping to look back. Kushina had been like that in a lot of ways. Loving, caring, and kind all at the same time. But make her mad? She was a scary red-haired demon that you could not get away from. She would run you over to get where she wants to go if your mind, body, or even soul got in her way. It was said that Kushina was such a powerful and skilled kunoichi that the sound of her name made war veterans cry and poop. Now it looked like Naruto was showing that he was the same way, an unstoppable force of power that could do what his mother did. Tsunade almost couldn't wait for the Gaki to destroy Jiraiya. Morning or later. Pain wasn't amused. This is not true at all. He had gone up to Zetsu with the idea that he had a mission and was just starting to describe the details of it when Konan attacked. The paper woman was very good at using all kinds of paper because she had trained and fought for years to get better at it. That's why Konan found it so simple to send a piece of paper with a seal on it to the plant man's back, blocking its chakra. Once the seal was put on, neither half of Zetsu could say anything because pain had already grabbed his head and ripped out the plant creature's soul. And got the memories of all the creatures. Madara was led to believe that Zetsu's darker half was actually the Uchiha's will, which was used to control events and eventually destroy the Big Five shinobi villages. In order to start all the events of the last 2 generations after Madara's true death. So that one day, one by one, the shinobi villages would be so weak that Madara could easily beat them, even if they all worked together to fight the Uchiha. How Madara had planned in secret to use the Rinnegan and Tobi to bring Uchiha Obito back from the dead, who was thought to be dead. Once brought back to life, fixed, improved, and finally unable to die, the Uchiha with the most power in its history would beat the Big Five before betraying Obito at the last second. However, Zetsu and the real person who put their will into Zetsu lied to Madara. The real person came as a woman, and it was the Sage of Six Paths' own mother, Asutsuki Kagaya. The rabbit goddess told the plant man to use the 9 Biju to bring about the Jubi so that her way of peace could come true. Pain also got all of Zetsu's memories. In the end, they used the moon, an infinite Tsukuyomi, to lock everyone into things that looked like cocoons forever. He could not let this happen in his Rinnegan eyes. Pain wanted peace, but not in this way. It wasn't peace at all. It was the end of all people until only Kagaya was left. She looked at Pain and asked, "What do you want to do?" "We do not need the others. They were mere agents to get us what we want. First, we removed Tobi from the equation. Once done, we will hunt the Jinchuriki ourselves from most power to weakest," said Pain while Conan sighed. It was Conan who asked Pain, "Even if it means killing your cousin?" "Uzumaki Naruto?" Pain only nodded once. Pain said, "Uzumaki Naruto may be my cousin to some extent, Conan, but I won't let that stop our dream of peace coming true. It can't be stopped just because the Kyuubi Jinchuriki is part of something that was broken and scattered to the winds years ago. We will bring about our version of things, but without outside forces trying to manipulate us." Conan agreed, but she wasn't sure how they could do this without the other members of the group. "Should I get in touch with Tobi?" Conan asked, and Pain agreed. Pain knew he had to get close to the man as he said, "Tell him I have a job for him that only his unique talents can help me get the plan moving again." "He might be onto something," Conan said, and Pain looked totally calm. The masked Uchiha could phase out for a short time and teleport, which Pain knew would need to be stopped first. "I'm sure he'll be suspicious. But it's a risk we have to take," he said. "I hope you know what you're doing, Nagato," Conan said. He knew that Tobi wasn't stupid, even though the man in the mask appeared to be stupid in public. "So do I. Still, one should not underestimate him. We have done that for too long. In the event I should lose to him, I have one final assignment for you." "One only you can carry out," said Pain while Conan agreed. Kunan told Pain, "I'll help in any way I can." Pain gave her a small, barely noticeable smile. Pain told Conan, "I know you will do this. This is my order if the Uchiha beats me." Then he told her what would happen if the Uchiha won. "Konoha, maybe later. You can still back down, Gaki. Admit I'm your better and we can stop this right now with your pride." Somewhat left intact, Jiraiya said with a smile. "Why?" "So you can go around boasting and bragging about how you supposedly best me in combat while trying to swoon some whore in the red light district so she'll put her diseased mouth on your junk? No thanks. You already have enough STDs in your body to be labeled a biological weapon. We don't need you adding more to a possible mutation and outbreak," said Naruto while Jiraiya was scowling. "You sound like your mom's brat. If she had just stayed out of my relationship with Minato when we were kids, I could have turned him into a real ladies' man," Jiraiya said, making Naruto roll his eyes. Naruto laughed as Jiraiya called up Ma and Pa to enter his imperfect sage mode. "Yeah. I'm sure my mother would love the idea of marrying an adulterous man with a small army of STDs running around in his system. Or the fact that, if you had your way, I would have several dozen, if not 100, half-brothers and half-sisters born from loveless sexual escapades," he said. Both knew about the match ahead of time, and while they would have liked to fight for Naruto, and the winner, they had to do what was expected of them and fight for their senior summoner. It didn't matter, though. Pa and Ma knew that Naruto would not be able to use Sage Mode properly while they were on him. Anyway, they had already seen how he was able to get around the flaw, even though it was hard, thanks to Minato's seal holding a certain 9-tailed Biju inside Naruto. Jiraiya told Naruto, "There's nothing wrong with the way I do things. You guys are wrong to judge me for that." Naruto just stared at him. That has got to be one of the most stupidest things I have heard come out of your mouth since I came back to Konoha. It is all the way up there with you ditching me for whores and you throwing me into a nearly endless ravine to access the fox's chakra, said Naruto, with Jiraiya looking unapologetic. Sink or swim, brat. That's life. If you can't handle it, I suggest you drown quickly so other people don't get dragged down by your dead weight, Jiraiya told Naruto as he became Sage Mode. And, unlike Jiraiya, it was great. Naruto said, the only thing about to die around here is you. He then took his toad fighting stance and Jiraiya did the same. Tough talk for a brat who is just starting to grow up, Jiraiya said in a sarcastic tone. He said, says the man who never achieved it after reaching his twilight years. The only thing you can do early is age and ejaculate into an unsatisfied woman. Jiraiya was furious at being called a man. I'm going to enjoy hurting you, Jiraiya said with his eyes getting narrow. So says the man who was dodging me and planning to kill himself to avoid our fight, which is exactly what you wanted from the start, Naruto shot back. The man was gone in an instant, and Jiraiya just barely caught his fist. The blow knocked the man back a few feet while he kept his fist up. Jiraiya said, you call that fast? Your father could move faster and hit harder too. Naruto smiled and jumped away from the Sannin. Naruto laughed and said, I know. I was just being gentle at first. Being old and weak like you, I had a sudden moment of pity and compassion for you. It's gone now. He then took it seriously and moved even faster. Shit. I thought this with wide eyes, and all of a sudden he felt pain in his sides from being hit in the ribs with an elbow. Jiraiya stumbled and almost fell over after taking the blow, but he was able to get back on his feet. If only just. Before Jiraiya could even react, he was hit in the face with a kick, then the spine with a knee, and finally the chest with an elbow. Each one hurt the Sannin a lot, and the impact from the ground showed Jiraiya that his former apprentice was no longer holding back. You were always a fool and a loser, Jiraiya. You wasted so much time on the pleasures of the flesh peeping on women, using other people for your own gain, and trying to get people to see you as something other than a pre-verbal parasite. But people aren't as blind as you think, Jiraiya. They saw you for what you were in life, Naruto said as he walked around Jiraiya like an animal stalking its prey with sharp eyes. And what does that say about you? When people look at you, they must see a demon, right? Jiraiya asked as he slowly stood up. I told them they saw the truth when they looked at you, but when it comes to me, they're as blind as bats, Naruto said. Jiraiya laughed and spat blood into his mouth. Is that so? Nearly an entire village sees you as a demon. As a monster. They can't be all blind. Maybe they do see something about you that you can't see about yourself? Asked Jiraiya while Naruto laughed. And how exactly am I a demon? A monster? If it is simply for holding the Kyuubi, then they are just as stupid as they are blind. Just because I hold a Biju doesn't make me one of them. I am not some weapon or tool or pet you can command and expect to obey without question, said Naruto before Jiraiya struck him. The Sannin's attack was blocked by Naruto, who then quickly hit Jiraiya with a punch. That's where you're wrong, brat. You are a weapon. A tool. That's what Jinchuriki are to their respected shinobi villages. They fight and kill like good little attack dogs and get punished when they don't do what they're told, Jiraiya told Naruto before he attacked and tried to kill him. Trying out the keyword. Oh, my mom was one too? And Uzumaki Mito? Naruto asked. He then dodged another arm attack and broke Jiraiya's elbow badly. He then kicked the man 3 times in the back and threw him to the ground. They were tools, of course. The only difference was that neither of them knew it because they were too strong to change into what other people wanted them to be. Mito made sure Kushina wasn't turned when my sensei became Hokage, even though she was very old. Kushina was untamable thanks to Mito's influence, even when she grew up to be a kunoichi. The same was true for my student and her when they fell in love, Jiraiya snarled, hating the word and how he thought it made his student sick. What's wrong with you with love? I believed you liked Tsunade. Then why use that word like it was bad? While Jiraiya glared and charged at the younger man with the intent to kill him, Naruto asked. Tsunade is not my love. I love how she looks. The shape she had when she was younger. The legs, breasts, and behind that show off how beautiful she is. I loved the idea of being able to ride that fine piece of Senju tail until my balls were drained ever since I saw her in the hot springs, naked from head to toe. But she never talked to me. She liked Dan because he shared her beliefs. He fell in love with Kushina, but does he take advantage of the love she gave him back? Does he try to be a man and run his house? She should be put in her place, right? Does he sleep with more than one woman on the side while his reputation as a very skilled Junin and soon-to-be Hokage grows? No. She had him for a long time. He was in love, that's why. Yes, I do hate the idea of love the way you, Minato, and even Tsunade see it, Jiraiya said as he finally hit Naruto in the face with a punch. Only to find that it didn't help much. Jiraiya had hit the younger man so hard that his face barely moved after the blow. Not only that, but Naruto also let Jiraiya hit him to see how strong the man was overall, which the Sannin did not know. It didn't impress him. Is that it? Is that all the strength you have? I thought that you would move my body back at least 2 inches. But what about this? I didn't even feel it, Naruto said as he flipped Sannin's fist away and kicked Jiraiya in the chest. I gave that punch my all. I gave that hit my all. How? He was furious that his attempt to kill him with one blow had failed. How did you take it and not lose your head? It's easy. You're not as strong as I am. As you watched women, slept with prostitutes, and drank a lot at bars during the day. I worked really hard to get to this level. If you were a real sensei and trained me the right way, you would have seen what was coming. But you chose to be a lazy jerk, which is what everyone called you when you were younger. I was right when I said Orochimaru would have been a better teacher for you. Heck, my dad might have been able to stop your old teammates from wanting darker powers and the idea of living forever, since Minato would have been his gift to the world after he died. We'll never know, though. You wouldn't have let it happen, though. Naruto said, I think you would have killed my father out of spite for Orochimaru if that had happened. Jiraiya spat out more blood and rubbed his chest. I would have killed Minato for sure. That kid was very smart. Only once every 100 years does someone like this come along. The person who trained him would be famous, honored, and known for decades to come. Do you really think I'd let that happen to that pale-faced freak of nature? It was bad enough that Orochimaru was favored by Sensei all those years ago, but I would have lost it if my student wasn't mine. Jiraiya said with a crazy look in his eyes, and Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. Naruto said, you sound like the old monkey planned it after I told him about Minato's potential as a shinobi. Jiraiya's smirk got bigger. It turns out that he did do that. This person who used to be on my team was so loved by their sensei that any other master and apprentice relationship was not an option. I told him not to make up his mind about who would take the boy as an apprentice until after the boy was Chunin. Instead, I used my spy network to spread false information about Orochimaru during that time. Putting out false information about what my former teammate did. Some of the lies my spies told about him were about his sexuality, his tastes, and even that his loyalty might be called into question. Before Minato became a Chunin, I talked my sensei into letting me train your father as an apprentice, and Danzo offered to take Orochimaru into his root program, Jiraiya said, drawing a sharp sword at Naruto. I see. This is why Orochimaru of the Sannin was sent to Shimura Danzo. Because of you and your clearly lower ego, if not fear. Right into the hands of the Warhawk who doesn't care about feelings and turned your former teammate into the sadistic psychopath Konoha has been scared of for a long time. Why is that? All so that Jiraiya, the loud baby, could get his bottle? Naruto asked before punching and kicking Jiraiya in different parts of the body and making him fall. It was mine, Minato. That's what the prophecy said. I can do what I want with anyone I trained. Do you not understand? It's only important that the prophecy bring peace to me as the sensei of the child of prophecy. For all time, people will remember me as the person who taught him. People will remember me for a long time because of my great legacy and long shadow. It can't be stopped. Kid, do you hear me? Nothing. Jiraiya yelled, his eyes filled with madness as the last bit of his sanity snapped like a rope being pulled too far. There is someone who can stop it, though. Me, Naruto replied, and then he jumped on Jiraiya and started beating him badly. Not genjutsu. There was no jutsus of any kind. Nothing but fists, arms, feet, and legs beating the Sannin up. Dad and Mom had already left Jiraiya during his long, rambling speech, and they chose to let the fool get the beating he deserved. It's not like Jiraiya would know they were leaving. So badly did the man's sage mode not work right that he wouldn't know it was gone until he did something that needed it. Naruto stopped hitting the Sannin so hard that its body was too broken to move or even twitch in any way. When it was over, it wasn't a surprise that Naruto had gone to such great lengths to destroy Jiraiya. Because of everything he did, other people were able to do even worse things, which caused unimaginable pain for those around him. Without feeling bad. He did this without having any compassion for the people he hurt. Why is that? So he can take advantage of the women around him and use his fame and glory to sleep with as many of them as he can. That's why Naruto hit those people with all his anger. He put all of his pain, suffering, rage, and anger into every hit. Each blow was meant to hurt Jiraiya physically so that when he came to, he would quickly lose his mind because he would know that his former student had hurt him. That both of them had fought hard, but the student won. It was also clear that Jiraiya had no good reason to try to save face. Gosh, Gaki. Tsunade said, I thought I had beat him badly when he peeped on me all those years ago in the hot springs. She saw that Jiraiya was in even worse shape now than she was back then. You beat him so badly that he was cut open. It could only be topped if you beat him by a small amount. Naruto said, he deserved it, too. He knew that Jiraiya was barely alive and would die soon if Tsunade didn't stabilize in the next 2 seconds. To the point. That's true, but I still didn't think you or anyone else could top what I did. You are, without a doubt, an Uzumaki through your mother. People always said that the clan could do the impossible. It was impossible, Tsunade said as she, reluctantly, held Jiraiya up, even though she secretly wanted to leave the man to fall apart and die. Especially since he just told Naruto and her everything during this fight. Jiraiya didn't know that Naruto had put up a very big and strong seal around them before he got to the training ground. One that Tsunade used when her old teammate showed up with his back to the woman. It was made so that everyone in it would have to tell the truth about something, no matter what it was. After seeing how low Jiraiya had fallen, Naruto felt he had every right to beat the jerk the way he did now. Naruto knew Jiraiya was one of the worst things that could happen to a living thing, but he didn't think the Sannin would have fallen this low. It's crazy to think that the fool's crazy actions, based on a stupid prophecy, led his old teammate to join Root. Because of this, the man who was in charge of Orochimaru turned it into a monster, which led to the Sannin going bad for many reasons. In one of them, the Sandaime picked Jiraiya's student and Naruto's future father as Hokage. Even worse, Orochimaru might have been Minato's teacher. This would have kept the Sannin from becoming so crazy and obsessed with living forever, which would have kept them from going down such a dark path. Naruto thought Danzo had something to do with starting, and the Sandaime Hokage later supported it, if only to make sure that his former student used his new interests for the good of Konoha as a whole. Tsunade, heal him as much as you can, but not too much. I no longer want him to be a shinobi. Naruto said, he has no right to be one after what we just heard him say. Tsunade agreed with him. It was true that Jiraiya's time as a shinobi was coming to an end. The man had lost the respect of his peers, including other shinobi in the next generation of Konoha. People inside and outside of Konoha hated him, and his spy network was broken. He also hadn't been in a real fight in years, so his skills were probably pretty old. Naruto had just hurt Jiraiya badly, and Tsunade might be able to fix all of his wounds, but that was a big if. The scumbag would never be good enough to be a Konoha shinobi again. It was best to just leave the man in the hospital, where he could slowly die from being damaged and mostly immobile. During that time, he was stuck in his own body and couldn't move. He finally realized what a fuck-up he was before the end. That was what Naruto wanted Jiraiya to get for her crime. The man finally got what he deserved for what he did. Because of his crimes. It was his selfish desire to make a possible prophecy come true that slowly threw the world into chaos. Things would have been different if the man had been responsible and taken charge of his own training as well as the training of his students. Without a doubt. But the man did not show any kind of responsibility. He didn't train for long. None of his 3 students learned anything from him. Through his actions, he made it possible for evil forces to move in and cause the world to suffer in pain. So it made sense that the man who was suffering would end up in that way. To be by yourself. In a room that was dark. Not anyone to see. Not anyone to see. No one to talk to about anything. Feeling unbearable pain when they try to move. If there ever was a real hell, this is it. It was one that Naruto thought Jiraiya deserved with all his heart. Pain had died. It's not just his paths. But the person himself. It wasn't a big deal for Uchiha Obito, also known as Tobi, of the Akatsuki. The man was close to death and was only still alive because of his Uzumaki genes. It was important that the Uzumaki knew about the Moon Eye plan, through Zetsu's death, and chose to throw it off. Nagato, the fool, not only made him weaker during their fight, but he also held him up long enough for his fake girlfriend to take Uchiha Madara's Rinnegan eyes and leave aim for Konoha. He would have gone after Konan, but Nagato had used the last of his chakra to keep him inside a barrier seal that was connected to his life force. Even the Uchiha's Kamui ability didn't work, so they had to wait until Nagato died, which was a sad few days. Those Uzumaki and their seals are awful. It was no surprise that their clan was wiped out.
Over the years, Zetsu had done a good job of using events to make other people afraid of that clan.
The plant creature thought that the Uzumaki and their close control of Fuinjutsu would be a threat to the plan as a whole, so he went from village to village to make people afraid of the clan. All to get them to work with them against the Uzumaki clan and stop them from getting better at Fuinjutsu. Now, though, it looked like that skill had paid off, and the Moon Eye plan hit him right in the behind for one last act of defiance. Obito was sure that Konan had already reached Konoha by the time he got free from the seal barrier. He thought it would be silly for her to go anywhere else and told them everything she knew. For the reason that she worked for Nagato and knew that he was the real leader, Obito knew he had to take charge on his own. To really break them for long enough for him to put all 9 Biju into the statue, he would have had to kill all of the strong shinobi in each village. The Uchiha wanted to bring Madara back to life so that it would be easier to defeat the big 5 shinobi villages in the future. But since the Rinnegan and the Edo Tensei were not present, Obito was left to handle things alone. It doesn't matter. If they got together and started fighting, Obito was strong enough to handle them all. After killing all of his enemies, Obito would make the Jubi again and control it with his eyes to enclose the creature in his body. Now that the Uchiha had more power, he would use the moon to cast a Tsukuyomi that would cover the whole world and make it his ruler. Rin could live there, and they could be together. What if there was no Kushina? A world where her son and the Uzumaki clan don't exist. Someone like Danzo, or Orochimaru, or even Kakashi would not be in that world. An ideal world where everything was just right for him. We have been doing this in the wrong order. We have been targeting the weakest to the strongest of the Biju. We should have done it in reverse. So that is what I will do. With the Kyuubi under my control, I can have it attack Konoha within its own walls, and go where Kumo next. Once done, I will target the other shinobi villages until they are broken, and disorganized with their Jinchuriki dead or badly wounded. Once I obtain all 9 beasts, I will seal them into the statue here in aim while under my Sharingan's power so there will be no screw-ups. Obito said to himself before leaving via Kamui.
He never noticed that a blackish-gray tone that looked more like a statue was watching him in silence until it went poof to tell him what it saw. Konoha Hokage Tower later. Conan gave us a lot of useful information. It's hard to believe that Uchiha Obito and even Madara were still alive all this time, Tsunade said as she read the report Ibiki had given her after Conan had taken the test. A preservation jar with the Rinnegan was even given by Conan to the Hokage as a sign of her willingness to work with him. The Hokage could read several reports that told them everything they knew about them, from the past to what they did recently. Ibiki sighed and said, "That's just cruel." Madara must have known that to turn Obito against Konoha, he would have to take away what was most important to his new student. It was cruel to turn someone into a monster just so you can carry out a plan you think you made up but really didn't. Naruto asked, "What do we do with the eyes she gave us?" He wanted to know what happened to his father's last two students, who were thought to be dead. Hard to say. We could kill them because Obito really wants them for his plan to bring Madara back to life and use his old sensei to put us on the defensive. Or I could transplant them into someone who can handle them, Tsunade said. Naruto and Ibiki both looked surprised. Not to question your judgment or ideas, Hokage-sama, but the latter you just mentioned doesn't seem to be a wise choice here. Those eyes are said to be the most powerful if not most legendary dojutsu the world has ever known. The Rinnegan is said to once belong to the eyes of the sage himself. To give someone those eyes would be risky. Ibiki replied with Naruto nodding. Naruto replied, "Yeah. And who would you choose? You could give it to the nicest guy around, and he could still use those things to be a real power-hungry jerk and think they could do whatever they wanted." Tsunade agreed, saying that it was true. Also, based on what Tsunade knew about where the eyes came from, anyone who had them might think they were unbeatable. It wasn't really a surprise, given that the person who had these eyes had called himself a god and wanted to hurt everyone. Still, she only had one candidate, and it wasn't clear if he could handle the change or the power that came with it. When Conan gave you these eyes, she said that after you and Pain saved Jiraiya Baka's stupid life, you told her that he was your cousin and a member of the Uzumaki clan, just like you. Tsunade spoke, and Naruto both nodded and frowned. Yeah. I just wish he didn't go down the route he did. What was Ero Sennin thinking when he didn't take them with him from AIM? An actual member of the Uzumaki clan, and he could have brought to Konoha. My mother could have had a fellow clansman to talk to when growing up here. His presence here could have shifted the events when the fox was freed by Uchiha Obito on the night of my birth. After my birth, even with him raising me due to blood relation if my parents didn't survive, said Naruto as he mused about Ero as his dumbness and arrogance. Ibiki winced at the insult and felt like most of the pride man had was just taken away. Tsunade said, he was probably thinking with his penis, as usual. That would explain why his IQ is so low, it fits his size. Naruto didn't seem to be affected at all by what was said, which led Ibiki to believe that the boy was completely sure of his masculinity. Ibiki said, "You were about to make a point, Hokage-sama," as Tsunade looked at the jar on her desk that held the sage's eyes. Yes. When Conan brought the eyes here, she asked that if we gave them to someone, it should be someone she thought would use them wisely, Tsunade said as she watched the two shinobi in front of her. Naruto was interested and asked, "Really? Who did she suggest?" "You, Naruto. She told me about you," Tsunade said, making Naruto look shocked. Naruto asked, "Really?" Ibiki looked like he had just been told that everything he did in life was pointless and that he had wasted years doing what he loved. Either that, or the man was picturing the awful tricks Naruto would pull if he had control over those eyes. It could be both, yes. She sees greatness in you. Conan believes in you, Naruto. While respectfully not in the way of bringing the everlasting peace, Jiraiya's stupid prophecy foretold, she believes you can at the very least keep things with all 5 shinobi villages balanced. I'm inclined to agree with her. After all the good you have done, cleaning up Jiraiya's mess, exposing Danzo, Orochimaru's death, Kabuto's death, the vast majority of the Akatsuki being killed off. Is it any surprise? replied Tsunade while Naruto looked at the eyes. The jar with a feeling of doubt. This wasn't like when he stole the Forbidden Scroll and opened it to learn a jutsu that helped him graduate. No. It was even worse because whoever had these eyes in their eye sockets could make them do all kinds of crazy evil things. Naruto asked, "Do you trust me with these things?" These are the eyes that are said to belong to the Sage of Six Paths after all. He was very mature for his age. It was clear that the toads had taught him well. Do not let power corrupt you unless you want to be corrupted by it. Surprisingly, I trust you. Also, if what Conan said is true, our enemy won't wait much longer. The woman told us that Obito was badly hurt, so it will take time for him to heal. During this time, we can transplant the eyes onto you and use them against him when the attack comes, Tsunade said. Naruto agreed, and he decided that if these people, one of whom was a former Akatsuki, were willing to trust him with the sage's eyes, he would do it. I'd also make the Forbidden Scroll safer. If these eyes were part of a bigger plan to bring back the real Madara, I'd bet 10 years worth of ramen that the second part has something to do with the Forbidden Scroll, Naruto said. Tsunade agreed, since Obito could destroy anyone who tried to stop him if he got either part and used it together. Nairo answered, I take it you have something in mind. Tsunade then asked. Naruto said, I do, but I need the blood of Uchiha Obito or a close family member you have on file for this to work. Tsunade raised an eyebrow. I'll get you a sample of the blood on file, but it won't be much. After the Uchiha clan was wiped out by Itachi, Danzo and the elders pushed for all the stored Uchiha blood at the hospital be destroyed since there was no point in having so much from dead people, said Tsunade, while Naruto groaned. I'm guessing he was in charge of the operation, Naruto asked, making Tsunade frown. Yes, but we know for sure that Danzo destroyed most of the blood from the documents found in his root base under Konoha. I think he gave some to Orochimaru to help with the experiment about that abomination for a hidden arm he was hiding, Tsunade said, knowing that the samples Danzo gave Orochimaru were not enough for the Sannin to use for himself. Naruto said, I only need a small amount of what is on file. Someone sealed up some of it in his medical records, right? He knew that because medical records also held a small amount of the patient's last physical blood. Yes. Though we'll have to dig through the medical archives to obtain it. Up until now, the man has been presumed dead after Kakashi and fellow teammate Rin reported his death. Though the file should be there. I did the physical myself and drew the blood in it, so getting the vial shouldn't be difficult, Tsunade said with Naruto nodding. The best thing to do was to protect the scroll of seals first, so Naruto said, I'll do the security measure first. Once that's done, you can start the transplant. Also, Tsunade would need time to get ready for the surgery to transplant the eyes. Konoha, maybe later. Obito wasn't feeling well. The imaginary pain from his wounds was getting worse. He was able to get some white Zetsu parts to fix what Nagato's six paths and Konan's interference broke during the fight. Unfortunately, the parts Obito needed were not as good as the ones he had before he got hurt in battle. His whole supply of body parts and organs was destroyed by the paper girl. This included the Sharingan eyes he got when the Uchiha clan was killed before Danzo's root came to take the rest. It doesn't matter. The Uchiha planned to attack Konoha with a huge storm once he had the Forbidden Scroll of Sealing. He would then go after the other shinobi villages. He only had to weaken a few of the village's stronger Junin-level shinobi before he could sacrifice them to bring back a few famous S-ranked nin. One would be Uchiha Madara, but Obito wanted someone stronger to help him protect himself while he sealed all 9 Biju into the statue. The Uchiha went into the Hokage's office with Kamui because she knew she wouldn't be there that late at night unless there was a major emergency. When Obito got to the safe with the scroll of sealing, he quickly used the combination he knew would open it. People who wore the hat thought it was very stupid that the combination hadn't been changed since the Shodem Hokage's time. The combination was only supposed to be known by the powerful Hokage, but sometimes a small group of people were allowed to learn it as a sign of trust from the Hokage. But for Obito, it came in the form of Orochimaru when he joined the Akatsuki after making a mistake. During the Third Shinobi War, the Sandaime were going to retire, and in a few weeks, Minato would be named the Yondaime Hokage. Soon after, Orochimaru did something wrong before joining the Akatsuki, and he told him about it while under the powerful hypnosis that the Sharingan can make someone fall asleep. It was possible for him to get the Edo Tensei, but Obito didn't know that Orochimaru knew how to use it at the time. When the Sannin used it to attack the Sandaime, the man realized what a missed chance it had been for him. One that he was going to fix right now. This time, though, the outcome would be good for him. Away from Konoha, secret place. When Obito showed up in front of Naruto, he smiled. Since he was looking all over the place quickly, there was no doubt that the mask on his face showed shock. He had probably just touched the forbidden scroll of seals, and this was the next thing he found. As soon as the masked Uchiha showed up, Naruto made the signal, and a wall appeared between the two men. Naruto said, "Hello, Tobi. Or should I call you by your real name, Uchiha Obito?" Obito glared at him from behind his mask. After Obito said, "So you know," his eyes grew bigger when he saw that the blonde's eyes were no longer blue. "Conan told us a lot about you. Not to mention the toads are excellent for spying. I just needed to have some of them who are indigenous to AIM hoping around. No one is the wiser. Not even you. They have been spying on you in the Akatsuki for some time and telling me all about your movements. Add to the fact Nagato killed Zetsu after ripping out his soul. I know the truth about the reason behind your actions, and how you were just a puppet for the real mastermind behind this," said Naruto, with Obito scowling before mask to show his scarred face. "I don't let Madara control me. What I do is my own choice," Obito said, making Naruto laugh. "Madara? I never said it was Madara. Hell, he was being used like a puppet too. Black Zetsu was never Uchiha Madara's will. It was Kaguya, the mother of the Sage of Six Paths. She tricked Madara into thinking Zetsu's will was his own. Zetsu was going to use you, Madara, and everyone else they could get their hands on to fulfill her ambition to one day return to the land of the living after being sealed away by her own sons during their battle," explained Naruto while Obito widened his eyes. "No, the Moon Eye plan would have brought peace. Zetsu was very clear about that. He couldn't make that up," Obito said, and Naruto just shrugged. "Oh, the Moon Eye plan was real. But you wouldn't be the one to use it. Kaguya would be the one to use it. She would trap us all in the infinite Tsukuyomi just like you wanted to do. But unlike your version of things, those who oppose her would either be dead, or be trapped in the genjutsu living a lie created within own minds until eventually we die," replied Naruto while Obito looked angry at his words before softening a bit. "It doesn't matter. The Moon Eye plan will bring about peace to the world. With it, I will be able to have Rin by my side. With it, my dream will become reality. With it, no one I care about will die while those who are insignificant will not longer exist," said a now clearly deranged Obito while Naruto. "Even after hearing the truth, you still want to go through with this. All for what? A girl that is dead and can't come back to you unless she is an illusion? A fake made from your own imagination and memory of her? What happens when you get tired of her, Obito? When the joy from being in the illusion and lie become too painful to handle whenever you see the fake standing there? Will you destroy the illusion? The genjutsu itself? When the lie becomes more painful than the truth?" asked Naruto while Obito looked upset and wasn't happy. Naruto laughed again as Obito said, "My world will come true. My world is all that matters. Rin is all that matters. I will have Rin back. One way or another. If that were true, why not use the Edo Tensei to bring her back? You could have tricked Orochimaru into doing it and wrestle control of her from him using your Sharingan. Hell, you could have asked him for the hand signs for the Edo Tensei. But you didn't. Why? Because you know if you do, the real Rin would disapprove of your actions. You want to live a lie because the fake Rin wouldn't care and you can lie right to her face every time if the question ever came up. Face it, Obito. You want to live a lie because the truth is far too painful to live in and the very thought of ending your life for the next world scares you even more. All because we both know that if you did die one way or another, the place where Rin now resides, you cannot enter. Ever. Said Naruto harshly while Obito writhed his remark. Obito knew deep down that what Naruto said was true. The Uchiha really did fear that he would die. After everything he did. The plans he had helped make happen. The people who died. Enjoy your lives. Living honest lives. Obito knew where his soul was going after he died. It was going downhill. The very south. There's no doubt that Rin was in heaven and happy there. He might have used Edo Tensei to learn it, or he could have used his Sharingan to make Orochimaru do it, and then he could have taken over. But, as Naruto said, Rin would have seen what he did and thought it was wrong. Screamed at him. Yelled at him. She would have told everyone about what he did. Lied about their friendship. That's what she would have said about him. That's right, Obito chose to lie. Make up a fake Rin. The fake one wouldn't care, that's all. Wouldn't dislike him. Not going to judge him. Because it was easier to deal with the lie than the truth, this world made lies. But was he going to say it out loud? And to the kid of his late sensei? No way. Shame, your opinion means nothing to me. All that matters is my ambition becomes real and Rin is by my side. While you, your father, mother, and every other person opposing me are removed from existence. Said Obito while Naruto smiled. Then come at me. I have something you want. Something you need. Not only the fox in my belly, but the eyes of the sage himself. This barrier will ensure no one interferes in our fight. It will also nullify your ability to use Kamui just in case you decide to act like a fucking coward and retreat. Just like you did with my father when he bested your stupid ass, said Naruto while Obito clenched his teeth in. And yet I was the one to walk away from the fight alive. Not him. His victory over me was hollow. He died. His wife died. You were left to rot in a village that hates your guts. That will keep hating your guts, even if you become Hokage. I imagine it will be difficult to rule over a village that would sooner burn itself to the ground over accepting you as its ruler, said Obito with a smirk while Naruto. Well, if the people don't like me as Hokage, they can either kill themselves or leave the village and go live in a cave. When it comes to the arrogant, the bigots, and the overall assholes Konoha has produced, I honestly don't give a fuck about them. If they were to be attacked right here, right now by an invading force, I would simply let them die. I would spare only those who were worth sparing, said Naruto without any remorse. Your parents would be upset with you, Obito said, and Naruto smiled at him. Not really. They both left a piece of themselves inside of the seal as a failsafe just in case things went south in holding the Biju at bay. I told them everything that happened to me during my childhood and everything else following it. They agree with me and my way of thinking that I should protect only people worth protecting and say, fuck you, to everyone else in the village. Oh, by the way, the fuck you part 1 just quoted? That was addressed to you too. In fact, my mother went on a rant calling you a crybaby bitch, who wouldn't be able to satisfy any woman, let alone Rin, because of your inadequately small dick was equipped with a quick shot motion attached to it, while her hair came alive. It was actually quite a sight, said Naruto while seeing Obito look even more furious. Obito yelled angrily, I should have slowly killed your trash of a mother after I ripped the fox out of her gut. Well, as she said so well in her rant, fuck you too, Naruto said. Obito then moved to hurt the blonde Uzumaki and take her eyes off of him. Naruto then grabbed the hand that was reaching for his eyes. You're fast, but I trained and fought with people who were much faster, Naruto said before Obito stabbed him in the gut with a kunai. They should have taught you to be smart instead of fast. I'm taking the fox in those eyes. Obito yelled, but Naruto proved it in front of him, which shocked Obito. It was a copy of Shadow. And saw someone grab his ankles and pull him down to the ground. They did. In fact, they trained me to be both smart and fast. Shame it couldn't be said for you and your clan. One would think that the student of the Yondaime Hokage and Uchiha Madara himself would have actual brains to go with his so-called strength. Of course, it is no real wonder you are considered to be a disappointment, said Naruto after rising from the ground and observing Obito with delight. Obito said, I have more knowledge and skill in my right hand than you do in your whole body. He then used his chakra to violently burst out of the hole and walked out. That might be true, if masturbation wasn't considered a skill. If it did, you'd be a prodigy in the field. Naruto made fun of Obito, whose face had turned the same color as his eyes, and Obito charged the Uzumaki in a rage. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to rip the fox out and use it against Konoha. I'm going to laugh as the Kyuubi spills the blood of this village. All of your friends here will die, and I'll laugh as they are all killed. Obito yelled as he launched himself at Naruto with pure taijutsu and his Sharingan eyes were spinning. Naruto said, hard to do when you can't even hit me. Then he grabbed Obito's fist with his bare hand and kicked the Uchiha in the balls really hard. Before Naruto did it again, Obito gasped, your father wouldn't have done that. Uchiha, who was struggling, wondered why he didn't block the hit. I'm not my father. And to answer the question no doubt running through your head, the seals I placed on you along with the barrier also nullified your little pussy move. I mean honestly Uchiha, phasing when someone tries to hit you. What? You can't handle a punch from someone? A kick? I've been punched, kicked, stabbed, and poisoned since I was a child. Yet when it comes to taking hits from someone like me, the first thing you want to do is phase through it because of your fear of a little pain. Ha. Some big bad Uchiha you claim to be. Madara must have been desperate to choose you as a student before his death since taking a single hit practically makes you want to pee yourself like a baby, mocked Naruto before swiftly head-butting Obito. Putting the Konoha headband on his forehead caused more harm. What are seals? When did he seal me? Was it his copy of Shadow? Obito thought this as Naruto hit him over and over, breaking the Uchiha's right leg in the process. Obito, you are weak. So that's why you wore that mask to hide yourself from everyone. You didn't work out. You did not fight. You just did the work with your fucking Sharingan eyes. Don't use dojutsu, though. Why not fight someone like me on even ground? You're a weak pansy. It's wind chakra on this kunai, Naruto said as he pulled it out and cut Obito's face in an X shape, ripping both Sharingan eyes out of their sockets. The spare Zetsu parts, like the arm he had taken out of storage, were also cut off. Obito would have screamed more in pain, but Naruto flipped the kunai so that the ring base hit the Uchiha 4 times in the jaw, twice to the left and twice to the right. The force was strong enough to break Obito's jaw completely, and then his tongue was cut off. It wasn't supposed to end this way. My dream. My ambition. I could have been with Rin again. My precious Rin. Obito thought his blood came out of his mouth and all that was left was the darkness of having just gone blind. Obito, don't feel back. If you really want to know, your old teammate Hitaki Kakashi is also a failure. He taught me and I was his son. But what does he do? He trains the Uchiha on my team while I train by myself. Do you know what came after? My friend from the team goes bad and uses the skills his sensei taught him against me. To get me killed. Everything was done for power. All to get rid of his fucking big brother, who was a much better ninja. This is no longer important. The Uchiha clan will no longer exist after today. Naruto cut off Obito's real hand at the wrist and said, the clan will be dead. It will only be a myth or a story parents tell their kids. Before hearing Naruto's last words to him, Obito thought, I need to do something. Anything. Minato-sensei. Kushina-san. Rin-chan. Heck, even Kakashi Baka. Someone, please help me. Farewell, Obito. May you and your power-hungry clan rot in hell with Orochimaru, Kabuto, Danzo, and the other Akatsuki members you helped join. Shi-Nara Tensai. Oh my god. Naruto yelled while using a move Konan had taught him. Konan then went on to explain that the Rinnegan's other abilities would become clear over time. Nagato did it that way, and he didn't really teach her all of his skills. Obito was wiped out completely, leaving only a dark smear of blood on the ground. Naruto set this on fire just in case someone tried to take DNA samples from the Uchiha's body. Naruto got it done. The three Anbu squads behind Tsunade said, "At this rate, you will drain the treasury of money by killing all these missing nin." This was said in case things went badly for Naruto in the barrier. Yeah, well, it is what it is, Naruto said just before the wall came down. Tsunade said this about Obito. I was expecting more from him. He hasn't had a real fight since the one he had with my dad the night I was born. The jerk was always getting away, even when he did. Always using his Sharingan to even the odds against him with phasing and teleportation, Naruto replied, having thought about how Obito could have challenged his father at the time. To be fair, the man had to save his brand new son, his wife, who had just given birth to the son, and a huge nine-tailed fox that was running wild in Konoha. I'm sure that what you did will spread to the other shinobi villages. Tsunade knew she would soon have to tell the village about Naruto's heritage and the storm it would cause. If the Tsuchikage doesn't have a heart attack soon after hearing how you killed so many missing nin, he will once word gets to him, she said. I don't care what happens as long as he and Iwa let old grudges die with my dad. He said, but if he starts something, I will end it. Tsunade nodded, showing that she respected him for that. He made Iwa and the Sandaime Tsuchikage scared with his Hiraishin no Jutsu during the Third Shinobi War. But Naruto and what he did to so many S-ranked missing nin would make them pee their pants. I hate to say it, but if you keep going like this, you'll take the hat from me in 2 or 3 years, Tsunade said with a smirk. Perhaps I should get it faster. Having to walk in on you high from drinking too much the night before seems like a good enough reason to give me the hat, Naruto said as Tsunade glared at him. Pay attention, kid. If you make me mad, I can still punch you all the way to Nami. She yelled at Tsunade while shaking her fist at him. What did you do? What did you say? He smiled at her and asked, what do you think? That's it. Come on, you jerk. I'm going to hit you in the face. Yeah. Yelled Tsunade as she chased Naruto around the training ground. The Anbu watching had sweat drops running down the backs of their masked heads. Should we state our case? Asked one Anbu ferret as it watched Tsunade try and fail to hit Naruto with her fist. Who then jumped into the air, gave her the finger, and blew a raspberry at her. Would you rather die or go to the in ICU? As they watched Tsunade look angry and keep chasing Naruto into Konoha, the Anbu captain asked. In some cases. Do I get paid for that? How much will it cost if I do? The further they went into Konoha, the more the ferret Anbu heard Tsunade swearing at Naruto. Alright? No. Captain Anbu told Ferret, even if you did, it wouldn't be enough to pay for your medical bills. He knew Ferret was looking for a reason to take some time off. Even though there were ways to do it that hurt less. Jiraiya's room at Konoha Hospital later that night. Ero Sennin, are you sleeping well? Asked Naruto as he walked into the room without saying a word. Okay, you've come back to me on your knees. I knew you would, Jiraiya said with a smirk. Naruto crossed his arms and looked the Sannin in the eyes. You couldn't be more wrong. The Akatsuki is no longer around. Nagato, one of your old students, has died. Kanan, your second student, gave me the man's eyes to use however I want. He who freed the fox from my mother is also dead. I put him down. I've done twice what you couldn't. I got back at your weak sensei by killing his favorite student. I got revenge for my parents by killing the man who killed them through his plot the night I was born, Naruto said, making Jiraiya clench his teeth in anger. Those eyes shouldn't be on you. They're not made for a childish jerk like you, Jiraiya said with anger. Who do you think would be a better choice? You? Hey, Kakashi. Maybe someone else who really likes your cheap smut? You sound like a whiny man-child. Do you really think Tsunade or even Konan would trust these eyes with you? They would rather bring back the infamous Uchiha Madara and start the next shinobi war than trust you with such things, Naruto said coldly as Jiraiya stared at him with a very angry face. And you're a better choice? He was a whiny brat who couldn't handle the Kyuubi and cried like a baby when I didn't give him his bottle. Replied Jiraiya in a furious tone. First, I'm a much better choice than you, Arrow Sennin. The Toads did something you wouldn't or couldn't do. They paid attention to my training. They saw something great. They knew that the way you did things was a quick way to die because you didn't do anything. What about whining like a child? Not being honest, aren't you? How many times did you complain to your sensei who threw poop when he chose to train the snake instead of you? How many times did you complain that no one respected you because you were able to spy on women for one day without getting beaten badly? How many times did you whine when my mom literally stopped you from ogling my dad's fame, while he was a shinobi? I don't want to hear about your whining and not giving me my bottle, Arrow Sennin. We both know that for years you've been trying to stay relevant by making money from a lot of different bottles. He said, as of right now, the tap for any such bottles is officially turned off. Jiraiya was furious that he had been told that his attempts to stay in the spotlight and cast his shadow were over. If only he knew that Naruto destroyed the statue with nature chakra-filled explosive tags so that, with Konan's help, the area under AIM would become a huge sinkhole. This is not okay with me. When I'm not there, people will know something is going on. Important folks. People that read my books. People who enjoy my smut. When they find out that you and Tsunade are holding me like this, they will come here in large groups to free me. I said this while picturing in his mind his newly formed army of loyal readers, both regular people and shinobi, storming Konoha to free him from this hospital-like prison. Don't eat so much. You're not really important. You're lucky that I'll pay for your funeral, Naruto said as he turned to leave. A funeral? What do you want to say? I'm still alive. I told you so. Jiraiya yelled angrily as he saw Naruto stop and smile. You will officially be marked dead tomorrow. Where did you get it? There were several hundred STDs in your body, but they had all changed into one big superbug that made your dick fall off, your testicles shrink, and your heart explode from stress. When it comes to the real story, you're going to fade away. In this dark room. By yourself. Slowly dying, Naruto said, and Jiraiya looked shocked. What? This is not okay. Yelled Jiraiya, and Naruto smiled. This is what you deserve, Arrow Sennin. I beat you in battle. I was better than you in almost every way. Wasn't that hard to do, Naruto said as Jiraiya glared at the boy while fuming in his body cast. I'll get better too, you jerk. I always do it. The world will know the truth when I leave. Yelled Jiraiya, as Naruto quickly turned around and became very serious. He then walked over to Sannin, who was now feeling a little scared. What is the truth? The truth? Do you want to talk about the truth? Why don't I tell you the truth about how you hid so much from me? Or used an old toad that wasn't at his best to see into the future and further your own plans? People turned against Orochimaru because of what you did, and he joined Danzo's route, let the Warhawk control his mind, and turned into the monster Konoha has been afraid of for years. Or how you and the Sandaime lied to me for years so the Kyuubi Jinchuriki would keep supporting people who hate him even though they knew they were wrong. You knew I was your godson and the son of the Yondaime Hokage, but you still treated me like I was a mindless weapon. Maybe I should tell you the truth? Or how about the truth that you have made female spies in your network sleep with you, or else you will find out about their past? I'm sure a lot of people would love to know how that great and gallant Jiraiya of the Sannin got away with almost raping the women in his spy network before and after they gave him information, right? Asked Naruto in a cold voice. Jiraiya was shocked, scared, and angry at the same time. You do that to me? Are you going to ruin my good name? How great am I? To your own father-in-law? I told you so. Jiraiya yelled in anger at what Naruto was threatening to do. You are not great. You don't have a good name. Only a well-known one that makes people look down their noses at you. Plus, it's the truth. Another painful truth for you is that they dislike you, Jiraiya. No one likes you. Not a single person loves. You were forgotten by everyone. They only put up with you because you're a smut, and even that's too much. You can either give up and die with only a little honor in this room, or you can fight back and have your sins shown to everyone while people demand a violent death for you. Angry. Naruto yelled as he grabbed Jiraiya's skull, which was covered in a cast, and pulled him painfully forward at an angle. As a child, I should have killed you. It made me want to do it so badly. The reason why my student died. The thing that hurts the village. I could have done it and gotten such great praise from the shinobi and villagers who were hurt by the creature's death. Jiraiya told Naruto, the only thing that kept me from taking it was the fact that you could be used as a weapon and that the Biju would reform in 9 years without Uzumaki holding it. Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. And let your precious village be without defense? We both know that a Jinchuriki needs a shinobi village a lot more than a shinobi village needs a Jinchuriki. Don't act like your life is worth a lot more than mine. No, it's not. You're not worth anything, Jiraiya. You've never been worth anything. The only reason no one has told you the truth is probably because some people didn't want it to get out. Probably out of pity, but that's not the point, Naruto replied. Jiraiya was furious that people were calling him names and making fun of him, which hurt the most. When Jiraiya said, "You will never bring peace to the world and fulfill the prophecy with that attitude," Naruto smiled. Who told you I was going to make the world peaceful or answer some damn prophecy you can't wait for to come true? No, I'm not. I will be the next Hokage in a few years. It will come true what I want and dream. If Iwa wants to start a fight, allow them. Kumo can join the fight if he wants to. Allow them. Anyone who tries to take my village will be crushed by me. My house. My old friends who live in Konoha. When I fight, I'll make sure that my enemies lose so badly that they get sick and have bad dreams whenever they hear my name. Mine, not yours. Mine. So Jiraiya, enjoy your time here in the dark. Enjoy being alone. This is your punishment for being the sad loser who, in his eagerness to leave the presence of those more important than him, set off events that harmed many people. When one of your students has to clean up your fucking mess, that's kind of what you want to happen. It doesn't bother me that your mess will be gone with the wind of time. You broke something, so let it fix it, Naruto said as he left the room. Hello, Naruto. You little shit, come back here. I will not give up what is mine. Hello, Naruto. Not at all. I don't know what I did. The blonde grabbed me through the body cast and put a paralysis seal on my face. I can't get out of bed. Yelled Jiraiya angrily. No one would ever see Jiraiya alive again after that. Ending. Years later. Following through on his promise, Naruto became the 6th Hokage of Konoha, which some people in the village didn't like. But since Naruto was the strongest shinobi in Konoha, those who didn't like it were shut up. Not only that, but Naruto's heritage was finally revealed to the people when he became Hokage. Many were shocked to see how much the boy looked like his father and wondered why they hadn't seen this before. Naruto thought they were being shallow. He didn't think it should have mattered if he was the Yondaime's son or not. He was still Naruto and was stopping Biju from destroying Konoha. If they couldn't accept him as a hero without his father's name attached to it from the start, then they weren't really loyal.
They were just a bunch of jerks who were more cocky, if not stupid, about their position than he realized.
He was going to have to teach those idiots how to really understand how stupid they were so that the next generation wouldn't be as stupid as they were. Some people on the council didn't like that Naruto added understanding of Fuinjutsu to the students' class curriculum because not everyone could do it. They asked why he would include something that wasn't for everyone, and Naruto told them that even if they couldn't do Fuinjutsu, they could still understand its principles in nature. He ordered more than just those 3 things. The academy would also have to take a chakra level test, a chakra affinity level test, and have all of its students in each class work together in random groups to complete special training missions. These missions would be given by the Chunin Academy instructors to see which students could work well with others. This way, once the teams were assigned, everyone would be able to. It wouldn't happen if you couldn't give a good reason. It was known that Rock Lee didn't have any chakra to use and that Naruto had more than all the previous Hokages put together. Because of this, Naruto wanted to make sure that people with such unusual situations could graduate with their classmates. If an academy instructor saw a student using too much or too little chakra while taking the tests, they had to report it right away. Telling a student to try harder without giving them any help was not allowed. Some people didn't agree with his choices for different reasons. Some said that adding these kinds of programs to the academy would be too expensive, show favoritism to some students, or not be appropriate for young academy students. Naruto's answer was tough shit. He told them that the students the academy was currently turning out were weak genin and that each of them was paired with a Junin who didn't spend much time judging the team and would have to make up the time if the team passed the test. It was not acceptable. Naruto also had retired shinobi or those who were too hurt to fight anymore come to the academy to teach part-time so that they could help pass on their knowledge to the next generation. They taught survival skills, talked about past missions, and took notes. They were put in situations, under strict supervision, where they only had each other, their wits, and very few supplies. Sometimes there were no supplies at all. Even though Naruto had done and achieved those things, it didn't mean that someone else would. Even so, his choice quickly paid off. Genin who graduated from the academy were better prepared for life outside of school because they were paired with people they knew and worked with the best at what they did. On the other hand, Junin had to take the time to read their profiles instead of just taking the Genin test first and deciding how to train them later. It was clear that the Junin were going to put in a lot of work to train their Genin teams. What about the paperwork? Tsunade thought the boy would be tearing out his hair over how much there was. She was shocked when he made 5 shadow clones and had them do all the work while he smirked and kicked his feet. When Tsunade yelled at him for not only knowing how to beat the paperwork but also not telling her for years, Naruto just smiled at her. Maybe I did know how, but if I told you, all the hard work and stress of running the village would never have hit you like it did me. What did Tsunade say? She tried to choke Naruto and was stopped by 2 squads of Anbu, Shizune, Guy, without his weights, and Kakashi using Sharingan to put her to sleep. Naruto had a knowing smile on his face the whole time. He liked being in charge. That and getting back at Tsunade for not taking care of his family was nice. When it came to Kakashi, the new Hokage wasn't going to let the man off the hook without punishing him quickly and very cruelly. When Naruto said, cruel, he meant something truly evil, if not a war crime. Kakashi's punishment is to avoid Guy hugging him in a vice grip. That doesn't sound too bad, but Kakashi has to do it for a whole week. Again, this punishment doesn't seem too cruel at first, except that Guy would be completely naked. No weights, no clothes, and no hiding his youthfulness from the world. To give Kakashi a fighting chance of getting away, Guy would be covered in grease and have to hold on to Kakashi for good. Guy agreed to this because Naruto played on his pride by saying that he had never turned down a real challenge, and the new Hokage hinted that Guy not being able to complete his mission challenge would look bad on the Junin's record. It was only natural that Guy would jump at the chance to complete such a challenge while Kakashi begged Naruto with tears in his eyes to change his mind about this harsh punishment. Naruto looked Kakashi straight in the eye and said 5 simple words that shook the world. There is no way in hell. It goes without saying that Kakashi had a terrible week. He ran through the village avoiding Guy's naked body, trying to hug him by dodging, ducking, running, jumping, digging, and doing everything else besides flying through the air. Even though he could have let the very strange and naked man hug him for 30 minutes and been done with Naruto's punishment, Kakashi was proud of himself as a man, what little was left, for not letting that man hug him. Unfortunately, even he didn't think Guy would be as determined to complete his mission as he was. On the last day of avoiding the naked man, a picture of an allegedly long-lost Icha Icha Paradise book was being sold. This took Kakashi's attention for 5 seconds. Guy only needed 5 seconds to jump on Kakashi from behind and give him a huge bear hug that he couldn't get out of. His screams could be heard for miles around the village. Putting this incident aside, Iwa and Kumo were interested in Naruto's progress with his new rules because neither of them liked the idea of a Yondaime child becoming Hokage. For one reason or another, they didn't like the man, and the fact that he was also the Kyuubi Jinchuriki didn't change that. Well, Kumo didn't care because they didn't see any Jinchuriki that were mindless. Iwa was mad and scared at the same time. People thought of Jinchuriki as weapons of war and didn't give them any rights. You didn't let a weapon choose who it could fight or not fight. So, Iwa made sure that their 2 Jinchuriki were disciplined over and over again when they were young. They were told they were weapons of war, had no rights, and had no real purpose other than fighting for Iwa. They were also told that having any kind of independent thought was treasonous. As they had done before with Konoha, the 2 cages naturally worked together to get rid of Konoha. In other words, try to kill Naruto. Naruto knew this was going to happen a long time before it was casually brought up somewhere, and he had a new set of spies watch over him both inside and outside of the village. And to be honest, the 6th Hokage wasn't surprised by how much or how little information he got from it anymore. Iwa and Kumo were being helped by a small sect in secret, it turned out. Of ordinary people and even shinobi in Konoha who didn't like Naruto. If his father had been the Yondaime Hokage before or not, it didn't matter. They didn't like his reforms or changes to policies, and the fact that people who did him wrong were punished in some way made them want to secretly betray the country. They even hired some of Danzo's roots who hid from them. Due to the fact that these men had just joined his secret list right before he died, the old war hawk had not yet put them on it. It seems like they thought it was their duty to kill the person who killed Danzo and destroy the village instead of letting their lord's killers take it from him. What a mean group of people. It didn't take long to find all the traitors in the village, put them to death, and tell everyone about their crimes. He already sent copies of the proof to the Fire Daimyo to make his decision to kill them all even more solid, before anyone in Konoha became a possible supporter or knew someone with power who could make an appeal on behalf of a guilty person. On the other hand, Naruto and the Anbu team he chose beat Iwa and Kumo badly and quickly when he heard that people from both villages were trying to get in. Whenever Naruto was on the battlefield, he sent the enemy shinobi back to their villages in pieces, telling each one to tell both cages to back off or else. But when both cages sent their 2 Jinchuriki against Naruto, they chose or else because they thought the numbers of both Biju from their own sides would help them. After killing the Iwa Anbu with them, Iwa lost both Jinchuriki to Naruto. The Hokage then met everyone in a shared mindscape where they could talk without being interrupted. Naruto took Han and Roshi back to Konoha after taking off the different seals that were on them to make sure they would be punished if they did something wrong. The 6th Hokage didn't tell anyone that they were Jinchuriki. Instead, he called them defectors who wanted to leave Iwa's cruelty for better places. The Tsuchikage got angry about it, and he demanded to return his weapons even though the daimyos had asked everyone to calm down to avoid a war. To be polite, Naruto said, if you didn't want to lose either one, they shouldn't have been on the front lines. Also, they had been abused since birth, and Iwa saw them as things instead of people. Putting down stolen files and showing how Iwa treated Jinchuriki since the Shodem Hokage split up the Biju to make things peaceful. In a lot of ways, this was Naruto's answer to the Tsuchikage as an Uzumaki. In a way, it was a big, fuck you. And a middle finger to the old man. Kumo got beat up by B and Niyugito when they fought Naruto. There was an offer for them to join Konoha, but they turned it down because they were loyal to their village. Still, the fact that Naruto beat both Jinchuriki at their best and didn't look tired made the Raikage rethink his aggressive plan to kill the son of his late rival. The Raikage didn't know it, but that was the smart thing to do because Naruto planned to hurt A and Kumo if he didn't back off. Also, because Naruto had the eyes of the sage, both the 8-tailed and 2-tailed Biju told their ships that they would never give up their power to fight the blonde Hokage. Not only was Kurama sealed inside the man, but their father's eyes were also there. What it would be like for them to fight the man who gave them life. Besides that, Fu, a 7-tailed Jinchuriki who had escaped Taki, had found her way into Konoha. The girl with green hair told him that Chome had heard about your actions through her connection with the other Biju when he asked her why she came. People in her village didn't like her, and she didn't want to be treated like an attack dog by them. Fu had actually never been to Taki. Instead, he was always talking to a handler, who told him that the Taki Shinobi Council told them to protect their village or else they would have to deal with the painful consequences. Any story like that made Naruto very angry, because it wasn't fair to Fu at all that she had to fight for jerks in a village where they wouldn't even let her live. When Taki heard Fu was there, they sent an ambassador right away. The man basically told Konoha to give up their weapon right away. He was pounding his fists on the Hokage's desk and yelling about village safety. He also threatened to cut off Konoha's war aid if they didn't get their property back. How they would do everything they could to help Konoha's enemies and make sure the village burned down so Taki could take everything they wanted. How did Naruto react to the danger? The answer was to beat the crap out of him and give him to Ibiki to figure out. It turned out that the man was with a group of Taki nin who were waiting outside of Konoha for Fu and him. As soon as they had the girl, they had to take her back to Taki so that the Biju could be taken out and put in a new jacket. Their goal was to make a boundary seal that would keep their Jinchuriki within a certain distance of their village and a dog that would be loyal as an attack dog. The seal would go off if the Jinchuriki went past the boundary. It would shock the user and tell the assigned Taki nins to bring their target back to be punished. To make things even worse, the Taki nin group planned to be rough with Fu on the way back to their village. It didn't matter if she got pregnant along the way because they wouldn't know about the child. Along with that, the child could be used as the new Jinchuriki, even though Fu was put into a medically induced coma the whole time she was pregnant. Based on this, Naruto told 2 Anbu squads to find the exact spot where the Taki nin group was. Once they did that, they were told to kill everyone and put their bodies in a big box. A crate full of dead bodies was strapped to the back of the Taki nin messenger after the order was carried out. Naruto told the messenger to return to his village with what little honor he still had while delivering a message to the people in charge of Taki. If you do this crap again, I'll burn your village down and turn that big tree you have into the biggest pile of ash in the world. Hashirama didn't have the guts to do what I will do, and Uchiha Madara could only dream of what I could do if you come up with that plan again. It goes without saying that Taki never again complained about losing Fu. Kiri, on the other hand, chose to remain neutral toward Konoha because they were still getting over the mistakes made by Yagura, who was influenced by Sharingans. But Naruto was able to make them like him again by giving them Samahada back and telling them where Kabikirabocho was in wave. He only asked that if they took the sword from Momochi Zabuza's grave, a proper and respectful grave marker be put in its place. At the same time, he asked that the grave next to Zabuza's not be disturbed at all. Naruto made it clear that Kiri would wish they were still fighting Yagura in their civil war if it was true. Naturally, Kiri didn't mean to make the 6th Hokage angry with that threat, especially since she knew Naruto had the power to back it up. Suna got along well with Naruto. Gaara's position as Kazekage helped with that because both men respected each other because of what they both went through as kids. Even more proof of their friendship between the two villages came from the fact that Temari married the lazy Nara Shikamaru. Shikamaru's feet were stuck in sand, Gaara's, so he couldn't run while Naruto performed the wedding ceremony. Naruto thought this was hilarious. Nara, who was lazy, got the woman pregnant months before the wedding, and Gaara demanded that Nara Shikamaru marry his sister as soon as he heard about it. As Nara was about to go on a long S-rank mission, she tried to run away, but Naruto, who was in the room and smirked at Nara as she begged, stopped her. Shikamaru's mother, Nara Yoshino, was also there. Before she dragged the pleading lazy jerk out of his office, the strict woman was carrying her terrifying frying pan of doom. He left nail marks all over the floor as he did this. But Naruto knew that Shikamaru was happily married, even though the whole thing was annoying. He did get hit in the head a few times by Temari's iron fan, but Shikamaru was used to being hit by his mother's frying pan, so it wasn't anything he couldn't handle. In the Nara family, it was customary for the wife to hit the lazy husband over the head every once in a while. Or making fun of their wife. Naruto had planned to rebuild his clan with the help of the women who cared about him. In his life, those people were Hyuga Hinata, Mitarashi Anko, Shizuka. She came back to him after doing a lot of soul searching and was able to prove herself worthy, but she lived in Konoha, and his cousin Uzumaki Karen, whom he found in one of Orochimaru's labs. They learned that Naruto wanted to rebuild the Uzumaki clan and decided to help him do that. Along with their love for the blonde Uzumaki, it was the least they could do for him since he had helped them in many ways. Hinata was still thought to be going to give birth soon to their son Boruto. She was in terrible pain from the contractions and was crying out in pain as she tried to crush Naruto's hand with her newly found super strength, which came from the pain. She yelled, "Ah! You did this to me. Suffer. Suffer as I suffer." As she continued to try to crush his hand. Her eyes were red with anger. The pain was all around everyone else except Naruto. How is it possible? Fuinjutsu, which he put on his hand and Hinata was currently crushing in a grip, was the key. Someone else who didn't know they had a seal on their hand would feel the pain because of the seal he put on it. As for the person who didn't know what was going on, well, it's with Shikamaru. Shikamaru yelled, "Ah! Why? Why am I feeling so much pain?" As he grabbed his hand and rolled around on the floor. It's good for the lazy bum. He even tried to get a long-term mission right before I went into labor with our child. It was too kind to crush his hand while the contractions were going on. As Temari fed their child and watched her husband suffer, she thought with a smirk, this is so much better to watch and see from this point of view. Naruto put the seal on Shikamaru in secret after the man passed out from the pain of holding Temari's hand while she was pregnant. Because Suna women's hormones are all over the place when they give birth, it wasn't hard to get her to let him do it in secret. At the time, the woman was angry and wanted the lazy bum to suffer long after giving birth to their child. Naruto's offer was the perfect way for her to get back at him. Why aren't you helping me? It hurts. Shikamaru yelled. Temari did nothing but watch Shikamaru roll around on the ground in pain while their child laughed at him. Going back to Naruto. Hinata glared at Naruto and yelled, "I am not giving you another child after this. Never." Naruto looked completely calm, even though his wife had a vice grip on his hand and it was turning purple from the force. Naruto thought about what he had seen Anko, Shizuka, and Karen do when they were pregnant. They say that now, but later will come the apologies, kissing, groping, and apology sex that comes with it, he said. Shikamaru didn't seem to notice or think that Naruto was the one who did something wrong with his hand, which surprised Naruto. The man also had to deal with his own wife, their child, Gaara as a brother-in-law, and the unbearable pain that the seal on Shikamaru's hand caused when Naruto's wives tried to hurt their husbands while they were giving birth. Well, whatever. It's best not to think about it. After all, why make the Nara think something is wrong?
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.